I am so sick and tired of this chip that you're carrying on your shoulder. We have bent over backwards. We have done backflips to make you feel equal. And yet, we've done everything. Perfect example is in the federal government. If you and I get the exact same rating for a position, do you know what? You get it. And do you know why? Because you're black. Is that fair? Is that fair to me?
There is a woeful lack of understanding, not only in the black community, but really in the white community, of why black people are in the condition that we're in and why all of the efforts that whites have made and government has made to try to solve the problem in the way that government sees fit has not really worked. And blacks are still crying out for more and more and more. And I realize that this is an irritant to white people because you really don't understand. And it's not really your fault. It's not really your fault. You just don't understand. But I think if you gave yourself a chance to hear what happened to these black people that makes them as they are as an irritant to you and those who think you have done the best you could. And maybe you have, but I respectfully suggest to you that there's so much more that could be done, that should be done, and that must be done if America is to survive. Believe me.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I came across some clips of, this white woman calling out racism, and honestly, I respect it, right? She flat out says that racism is baked into the system and ending it would not be easy. I don't want to talk too much. Let's watch and we'll be back for some commentary. Also, credit to all the original creators of the videos. Let's watch.
Y'all gotta stop confusing wealth privilege with white privilege. The same excuse that I always hear from the white people that want to argue it is, I've had to work hard for everything that I've got. And, I wasn't handed any money or a silver spoon. And, I was poor and blah, 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 fucking blah. Guess what? I was poor too growing up. Guess what? I am still to this day in my 30s, a struggling single mother. Stop using the fact that you've had to work your ass off for everything having anything to do with your skin color. There's a lot of us in this country, white, black, blue, purple, green, yellow, that don't have money. That's called the middle class and the lower class. The privilege that you got is something that you don't even realize and that you take for granted every time you step out the house. You can get pulled over and not have a care or worry in the world that you're going to get pew-pewed or unalived. You could get arrested for a DUI and not have a care in the world or worry that you're going to make it to the jail alive. You can walk around the mall or a grocery store or a convenience store and not be followed around based off of how you look. I will say some people that are heavily tatted get judged, but that's besides the point. You don't have to worry about your hair being a problem on whether or not you're going to get a job position. There's a certain bias and profiling that goes on a daily basis to non-white people. But because you're white, you will never understand what it feels like to be profiled for something you never thought you would get profiled for. Now, I will give some people the benefit of the doubt, right? Your life experiences and things that you are in proximity to are going to change your perception to things. But it's just diabolical to me that racist people or people who want to claim white privilege don't exist. I will stand 10 toes down believing that Jesus and a bunch of stories in the Bible are true and a bunch of people that you ain't never seen in your goddamn life without seeing it, right? But you can't grasp your head around the fact that the things that we're talking about exist even if you haven't seen it. You can't grasp your head around the fact that just because you ain't gone through it means it doesn't exist. And even when it exists, right, it's not something that you should feel defensive about. It's not something you can help, unfortunately. So the least you could do is be empathetic to it, right? The least you could do is recognize it and acknowledge it, right? The least you could do is not minimize other people's experiences and feelings about it, right? Like if stubborn was a race, I swear to God, it would be white people. It's not like you have to kiss people's feet and bow down. All people are saying is, hey, we just want you to understand, acknowledge, and empathize. And a lot of y'all don't have loved ones or people that you truly care about that you've watched go through shit. Because if you did, you would not have the same perception as some of us. And that's just a factual piece of information, whether you want to admit it to yourself or not. Out of sight, out of mind does not pertain to this concept. Like I said in part 1, some of y'all want to stay delusional. I'm not going to be delusional with you. I get that there's always going to be the exception to the rule, but you cannot sit here and act like millions and millions and millions of people are just pulling this shit out their ass. The quicker people start listening to comprehend and understand instead of listening to respond is when we'll finally make some progress. Y'all be safe out there. You know what tickles me pink? So there was this girl that I was following on Facebook, right? And today she made a post talking about, oh, I'm going to use my white tears and I'm going to use my white privilege and I don't care. I'm tired of being a punching bag, whatever. So I commented on the status. I said, you can be mad and you can be frustrated at whatever the fuck it is going on in your life, because I had no fucking clue what she was talking about. But to acknowledge that you're going to take advantage of a system that you know benefits you and oppresses others is just not it. And then I proceeded to block her. So I posted that on my Instagram because I said, it's really crazy how y'all white people will say that there's no white privilege, but then you'll turn around and loudly express that you're going to use it when it's convenient for you. And I also mentioned that y'all wonder why other races can't trust us. It's because bitches like you act like this. But anyway, that's not the point. So the point is that after I posted that, now if I made that post, right, that would show anybody that looks at that post clearly where I stand on the matter. And somebody proceeded to DM me and try to argue it. Listen, I'm okay with people having different beliefs, you know what I'm saying? But why would you think that your DM was suddenly going to change my mind? It drives me nuts when people do stuff like that. Did you really think at my big age of 33 years old, your DM was going to change my mind? And suddenly I was going to have some fucking epiphany and jump to the other side. People really crack me up. Not needless to say, I spent a nice little minute, typing a paragraph explaining and educating to this person. I doubt it's going to really do anything. But why do people do that? I just don't get it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and deny that America is the problem because I've traveled outside the U.S. And yes, I will definitely be the first to say that the government wants to keep it that way. The government wants to pit us against each other. The government wants to keep baiting us. The government wants to keep us divided. I know. But we will not act like there are not plenty of U.S. citizens who love what the government believes in and who support that and who want to keep that going. Trust me, I am just as tired of racism as y'all are. But I'm still not ignorant enough to believe or to try to promote that it does not exist. I'm not ignorant enough to believe and promote that white privilege doesn't exist in certain circumstances, because it does. I have seen it with my own two eyes. I've seen it out in the real world. I've seen it when I was locked up. I've seen it when I was younger. I've seen it now. So I'm sorry if I'm continuing to see it over 30 years of my existence. Pretty sure it's a real thing. See, unlike a lot of you motherfuckers, I don't go off of the whitewash history in schools. I don't go off the news. I don't go off of these petty ass outlets where people trying to talk shit and lie and make up stuff and edit and change how things are. No. I go off of pure experience of things I have seen with my own two eyes. When we've had slavery, segregation, Jim Crow, redlining, Great Lakes of this country drowning out black-owned cities, judicial systems that do not allow any non-white person to not have a fair trial back then and today, police brutality, the KKK, cultural appropriation that affects people getting jobs, blatant video footage on multiple social media platforms showing right then and there how businesses or people in a social setting are being racist. Doing all the math and realizing that non-white people have only had semi-freedom for 59 years. Keyword semi. And my grandma's 80. Miss me with the bullshit. Some of y'all just want to stay delusional. And that's okay. I just won't be delusional with you. Y'all be safe out there.
This video is for my white brothers and sisters. Do you believe that white privilege exists? Up until recently, I was living off of $900 a month for the last 3 years, and as you'd imagine, I needed government aids to survive. As for my childhood, I moved more times than I care to count, and if I ate that day, it was usually ramen noodles. You and I, as white people, do not see white privilege, especially if we came from the struggle. We are not privileged in the sense that we are handed everything, because although I came from the struggle, if I was black or brown, I would have had to have dealt with racism on top of everything else that I was struggling with. White privilege is not about what you have been given because you are white. It's about what you do not have to endure because you are white. Over 70% of the United States is classified as white, so we are in general treated as human beings. And although being treated like a human being is not a privilege, it's a right, in general, black and indigenous and people of color are not treated with the respect that they deserve. So to those who are being disrespected by a society, when looking at those who are being treated like they're human, it looks a lot like privilege. Hence, white privilege.
White people's inability to sympathize with brown and black people deeply hurts me. And don't be dense, of course it's not all white people, but it's a general understanding of the world. But it hurts me, right? Because I've never looked at a person as less than them being a person. I've never looked at a starving man and looked at him as other than being a starving man, despite his race, ethnicity, or background. The pain that I feel when I talk about what's happening across the world is the same pain that I feel when I talk about my people's history in the hands of white folks. It's the same pain that I feel when I talk about slavery. It's the same pain that I feel when I talk about Asian genocide. It's the same pain that I feel when I talk about any group of people being hurt, especially innocent groups of people being hurt. But to a lot of black and brown people, it's like you have to explain to white folks that, hey, we're people too. We have feelings too. We have people that we care about too. You see how when something happens and it hurts you and you cry? Yeah, that happens to us too. Because when you look at the racial dynamics of the world, black and brown people are not treated as people, not in comparison to white people. Look at how America treated the Ukrainian refugees versus any refugees. Mexican refugees, Caribbean refugees, African refugees. Look how they treated them. And you won't even let us have our stories. Black and brown people spent their entire livelihoods. A majority of our history is us going against the odds. It's us fighting for freedom. And you have the face of the resistance being white people. It's like if a problem is not centered around white people, then it's not a problem and it truly doesn't matter. I've seen a variety of white women come on this app and cry about Lana Del Rey being snubbed at the Grammys while in the same breath talking about how Victoria Monet did not deserve hers. I don't know, the fact that I have to go online to be like, you should sympathize with these brown people, you should sympathize with these black people, eats me alive. Like, America has made a mockery of my people in my country and I'm used to it, but at the same time I'm not. It hurts. Like, my people fought hard. Like, my people fought extremely hard for the freedom that got taken away from them. And it's really the same thing for Congo. You have to beg for you guys to stop doing certain things, for you guys to look at these black children and see them as people who are deserving of peace. We have to go and yell at the top of our lungs that these black children are children and they should not be digging and mining for objects for you to have your new iPhone. And they should be at school enjoying themselves just like your child. We have to cry and beg for you to understand that those Palestinian children are just children. And they should not be orphans and they should not be blown up. They should be at school or playing, just like your white kids. And it's tiring, it's exhausting, but it's very dehumanizing.
One thing I'm not about to do is give money to a homeless white man. Out of all the privileges that white men have in this country, you find yourself unhoused, homeless, jobless, in the middle of the road, begging for money with a sign that says, "Help, please." Make it make sense. I can't do it. Nah. And furthermore, I start to go down the rabbit hole that if this white man cleaned himself up, got his hair cut, he could get a job quicker than a black man, a black woman that have been working their whole life in college, saving money, and pull himself up the ranks further than we could. Just because he's a white man. And what you do with your privilege, unearned privilege, you waste it. Child, you can't get none of my money. I'm sorry. And I know some of y'all might be like, that ain't...
Oh, it's like you can't even say you're proud of being white anymore. Yup, because that's weird and tasteless. And I just think that's a weird thing to say, okay? It is very different if you say I'm proud of being Belgian or Swedish or Dutch or whatever country your ancestors are from. That's fine. You're associating with a particular culture. I see no problem with that, right? But it is also very different to say you're proud of being white than it is to say you're proud of being gay or black or trans or Asian or Jewish or whatever, right? Because those are all oppressed groups in this country, right? These are groups that fight daily for recognition. And so when you say you're proud of being part of one of them, that is an act of resistance, right? That is fighting the power. When you say you're proud of being white, you're, if anything, reinforcing the power and kind of weirdly flexing your privilege, right? Like it's fine to think that, right? You can think, oh boy, do I love being white, because like obviously you get a fuck ton of privilege. Why did you feel the need to say it? Like, why do you so badly want to say it to everyone? That is the question, right? There's nothing inherently wrong, per se, with saying you like being white, right? There's nothing terribly racist about that sentence on its own, but you add the historical context of everyone who ever says that being a Nazi or a white supremacist, and then you add that to the fact that we all know you like being white because you get a lot of fucking privilege. It's like, it just reads weird, you know? Like, if you had a reason, if you're like, I love being white because I fuck with casserole, you know? Like, I'd be like, okay, this guy just loves casserole and that's why he loves white culture. Like, sure. But that's not why you're saying it, right? Because the people that are going around with feeling the need to say they love being white, like, are always racist. They're always racist. And it's not because they love being white, it's because they're just fucking racist. You know, so it's just, like, I don't know why you feel the need to fucking say that to people. Like, what is your end game? What are you trying to get out of that? What conversation starts with, guys, I'm just proud of being white? Everyone goes, okay, man. Sure, dude.
Do you have white privilege?
I believe everybody at Georgetown definitely does that is white.
100%. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think the fact that I don't need to think about my race, just going about my daily life, is a sign of white privilege.
If we're white, subliminally, we have privilege over other minorities.
Yes.
I grew up considered poor white trash, just like many other white folks in this country, sometimes eating out of dumpsters and living off of ramen noodles and a 5-finger discount. My family went through evictions and I moved more times than I can count before the time I was 18. I joined the military out of high school to keep from staying poor white trash. Although I spent a decade in the military, I'm back to being considered poor white trash. I have Section 8 and food stamps. Sometimes I do have to hit a food pantry. Sometimes I don't have gas. I can't afford an attorney to fight for my child. I do struggle, but I don't struggle because I'm black. I struggle because I'm in poverty. If I was black, I would have to deal with poverty plus racism. Sure, privilege is probably not the right word to be using whenever it comes to white privilege, because being treated like a human is not a privilege, it's a right. But when you're being treated like you're human, to those who are being treated like they're less than human, it looks a lot like privilege. Learn up.
So racism isn't new, right? It's not just name calling, it's schools, housing, healthcare, policing, courts, jobs. It's every layer of society, and every black person knows what it feels like, right? We carry it every day. And hearing white people say it matters, right? Not because we needed them to confirm it per se. I mean, we've always known, but because accountability has to start with their own communities, right? Black folks have been screaming this for centuries, right? It's deep-rooted, and it's not going to go away easily, and I think we all know that by now, and that's the truth, right? Until white folks get serious about dismantling the systems that they built by themselves, we'll just keep having conversations without real change, right? Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also, this video is for educational purposes only. Credit goes to the original creators, and as usual, I'll see you on my next one.